check this story out. Ohaneze Igbo seeks apology and 10 trillion naira compensation from Tinubu for the 1966 coup. For those of you that don't know what is going on, let me break it down to you. So IBB just published his book just this weekend. And in that book, he gave some light into the 1966 coup d'etat that the whole Nigeria, especially the Northerners, believed were caused by Igbos. The first coup of 1966 was what led to the Nigerian Biafran War, 1967. Two coups happened in 1966. The first one is the one that the Igbos are still being accused of till today, and all these people kept quiet. Let me break it down to you. Story time. In 1966, Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the Prime Minister of Nigeria until unsatisfied military major decided to organize a coup d'etat against Tafawa Balewa's government.
Now, the coup was led by 14 military personnel. 4 were Yoruba, 2 were Hausa, 2 were Igbo, 2 were from the Middle Belt. Then 1 each were from Ijo, Urubu, Isham, and Tiv. Now, this particular coup was carried out so that Awolowo will become the head of state. But at the end of everything, it was pinned on the Igbos and was called an Igbo coup. Now, the most interesting angle of this thing is that another Igbo soldier called Major John Obieno crushed the coup and brought it to an end.
While they were planning this coup, they tried to involve Odumegwu Ojukwu, who was the military government of the Southeast as at that time, but Ojukwu declined. And as at this time, the prime minister was Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. This is the thing. The idea of the coup was just supposed to be overthrow the government, lock them up, and seize power. But guess what? They went rogue. They made the mistake of ending Tafawa Balewa and other people in high position. They eyed them. The only major general that escaped was Major General Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi. He was not at home when they attacked. He met his wife and he got the intel, so he ran away. Ojukwu was in the southeast. While this thing was happening in the west. Listen closely. This group of people that were doing the coup, it was an Igbo man that caught them and arrested them. Because of the situation of things in the country, an acting president was appointed, and that was Orizu, who held power until the country was stable again. Then he handed over back to the military regime, and the most senior person was Major General Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi. And that was how Aguiyi-Ironsi became the head of state, by appointment. The country was stable again, so we thought. But here's where the problem started. Some northern majors and some northerners in the military started carrying the rumor that it was Igbos that did the coup because they wanted to remove Tafawa Balewa and put an Igbo head of state, which was not what happened. And you know some northerners and their ideology, waiting them here, as far as saying that the superior tell them, then go carry them. That was how that rumor started, that it was Igbos that carried out the coup of 1966, which was fake news, and they ran with that narrative. That was how they started planning the second coup in the same year. This second coup in 1966 till today is the bloodiest coup in Nigerian history because it started from the barracks. Major General Aguiyi-Ironsi was ended in office. He was spied, and this made him the shortest head of state. In about 190 days, that was what he spent in office. Northern soldiers started ambushing Southern soldiers and ending them. Like it was a bloody one. Attack and end all the barracks around Nigeria, especially the northern and western part of Nigeria. It did not end there. He went out of the barracks and entered the streets, including the streets of Lagos, Kaduna, and every other state. But it was so bloody in the north because of the religious disagreement in the north, and they started ending Igbos in the north, civilians. Now, Ojukwu was pissed. Coup was happening in the barracks. He went out of the barracks, and now they were killing Igbos in the north. So Ojukwu, who was, remember, the governor of the southeast, called all Igbos to come back home. All Igbos traveled back from wherever they were in the country back to the southeast. And that was how Ojukwu declared the independent states of Biafra. This was how the movement started. Ojukwu's demands were, let us go. Since you're ending us and you don't want us and you're carrying propaganda about us, let us go. But guess what? As at this time in 1967, there was a new head of state. General Yakubu Gowon has already been appointed the new head of state. And Ojukwu was making this demand of let's Igbos go, so you will not be ending us. But Gowon was like, no, you are not going anywhere. That was why Ojukwu was like, if you won't let us go, we are going to fight for our freedom. This led to the Nigerian Biafran War of 1967. That war lasted for 3 years, 1967 to 1970. Now, here's the thing. All these years, all the northern former head of states and former presidents and politicians knew the truth, including Yakubu Gowon. My question is, why did they keep quiet? Why did they not debunk this narrative that Igbos were not responsible for the 1966 coup, that it was just random soldiers that went rogue, and it was actually an Igbo that stopped them and arrested them? Ojukwu was another Igbo that refused to join them. Why did they not tell these stories? Why did they not tell this truth? Nigerians did not know. I still create ordinary content and people come to say, Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas still hating on themselves. Nobody debunked this news. 50-something years later, that's when IBB is coming to tell us in his book that coup was not caused by the Igbos. No be Tinubu. I think it's the federal government that should pay this money for what Igbos have gone through all these years. Because up till date, people still believe that coup was caused by Igbos and they kept quiet. I'm not an Igbo, but I'm just saying, is that the experience again?